G'day, everybody. Welcome back to the Hardball Gets AFL show. Today on the show, it is the 2-minute warning out of Gather Round. If you haven't subscribed, please do that wherever you listen to your podcasts. Leave us a rating, leave us a review. And there's one step which I tell you every week, which is always the most important. And I want you this week, I'm going to tell three. Tell three, mates.
Actually, I want people to dive in and just DM me and say, I've told a single person. Because I reckon you're talking to fresh air at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's ever told a mate.
All right, we need him to come back and tell us that you told a mate.
Yeah, anyone who tells a mate and actually tells them and then tells us that you've told them, we'll read it out. We'll tell you. We'll say who's told them.
You're on the honour roll.
We'll put you in a draw to win something.
Yeah,
I'm not sure yet. Oh, you'll win something.
Dave's
Tesla.
Tesla.
With Nick on the weed.
All right, let's get stuck in. Got the touch? Download the Tap Touch app today. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au. My name's Nick Rynne, joined by Xavier Ellis and Ryan Daniels. G'day, gentlemen.
How you going?
Well,
I'm back.
Well, just really quickly, we won't hang around the intro too long, but
Josh has told us to be quick today.
Yes, let's just quickly talk about Gather Round. You're there in person.
It was very good. Yeah, no, it was very good. It's amazing. I don't think you can have it here.
No, you can't.
Just leave it in Adelaide.
Why do we need to have it here?
What else have they got?
No, we don't.
And as I was talking to a few people at the airport who were coming back to Perth when I was, the beauty of it not being in Perth is that it's not in Perth and you get to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Like when it's in your state, it's not as fun.
Save your pennies.
And go.
You've got 6 months to save, and then your flight still won't be expensive. The dates will get released.
Yeah.
Hit them early. I got my flight over for $300.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yep.
You need an in to know when the dates are going to be.
Well,
no, but there's
you
no
can
in.
kind of work it out.
Yeah, you work it out.
It's always around school holidays.
You got to
in that
figure out
first week.
Josh Bowler's number.
And it's not the live weekend. Like, there's all sorts of ways
You
to
can
work
do the
around.
math. You can work around
You
it.
can kind of, okay.
I will say I do think that something will happen in WA. I wrote this for the paper on Saturday that they're going to work something out.
Didn't write on Harley? No. The week.
No, I didn't write on Harley.
The week. Kane will be happy.
I've written one piece about Harley all year. Okay? One piece.
Kane
I said let him be. So I'm letting him be. All right? I'm taking my own advice. I know, it's great. The gather round's great. I worked the whole time, though. Like, there was no...
Barros, and also, just quickly with WA v South Australia.
Yes.
Our Barossa version would be Bunbury. Obviously, that's where North Melbourne
Yeah.
play games.
Yeah.
But there's not the sing to go to Bunbury as there is to go to the Barossa.
Barossa's so close.
Yeah.
It's like an hour max to
6
get
hours
to the
on game
Barossa.
day.
Yeah, it took quite a while to get out there. It took quite a while to get out. Well, actually, getting there was okay. Getting back was the problem.
I do enjoy the bubble, like the AFL media bubble sometimes. Like, this is the greatest sporting event in the world. Like, Australia's seen nothing like it. It's like, Magic Round's pretty good in Brisbane in the NRL, which is like the exact same concept, and everybody goes up there and
cares.
has a few rounds.
Nobody cares.
They
about
don't
it,
even
mate.
know, mate. You got to
Nobody
widen
cares.
your aperture.
We do. It is brilliant, and I didn't go this year, and I don't regret not going, but I will be going next year.
I'll be going
I think I'm an every second year sort of operator.
I think. Wait, is that for health reasons?
You blast a few brain cells and then come back. As I just said, I was telling you the story about it carrying up how I had a mental breakdown. I think that was off the back of like gather round damage.
Where you couldn't find your car.
Couldn't find my car.
So he went to Carrot Up Shops, which if you're not from Perth is a really big shopping centre.
The Chadstone of Melbourne.
Yeah, it's massive, right? But there is a bit of an issue with phone reception there, so you can lose your way. It's a big car park. Xavier's forgotten where he's parked. And obviously gotten a bit of a half, looked for it for a while.
Bit of a half, sounds
Given
like
up at some point, rung his wife, who's come and picked him up, taken him home, and he had to have a rest for a couple of hours
cool down
before he went and found his car.
Turns
you
out I
are
was
an old man.
Turns out I was on the wrong side of the shopping centre. Hey, before we do start really quickly, we do need to just go over some old ground. On Fridays in our preview show, we do all decide to put a same-game multi on. Really, really quickly, Rhino, you had no luck this week. Unfortunately, your players were tagged, so you were out of that with
McRae
Whitfield.
and Whitfield, both
them.
unders.
You could put that in the bin straight away. You could probably see that coming too if you did your research. But anyway, Nick, you also fell short. You put Davidson in the dock to get over 25 disposals. He missed, and this is the reason why I'm reading it out because my DMs did light up on over the weekend. My multi got up, so there it is. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but Akers didn't play.
So Akers just came out.
So is that how it works?
Yeah. So the main leg was West Coast to lose by more than 60.
Yep.
So that was the juice.
That was the juice.
And then Sam Walsh to get 25. We had 30,000.
Had that by half time just about. Yeah. He did. He had like 20 at half time.
Yeah, he was. And then Chera was the other leg. So anyway, that's how we went. That's how we fared last
done
week.
very well.
Points to me, which is very unusual.
Yeah,
There we
so
go.
we've got one each. Nick is still 0.
I'm still coming.
Stoned.
Yeah.
still coming in. I'm going to go for a $3 special this week.
Yeah.
No, I reckon a minimum $4. We've got to.
Yeah, so
Ryan's.
Ryan's,
No, I'm going 16 weeks.
Ryan's the missionary man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
just straight up
like,
and down.
I'm in the dungeon with the ceiling fan on a swing. I'm just getting swung around in like one of the all-time red light bloody district sort of orgays.
And every now and then it comes off.
And I'm generally just introducing one thing, which is just flat no. Just trying to get it in there. And it's like, that's not happening.
You're halfway through
Yeah.
missionary,
Yeah.
and they're like, "What if we
What
did
if we?
this?"
And it's a flat no.
Hey, whoa!
See you
hey,
later.
Safe word.
And then in goes Sam Davidson.
All
right.
The doc. All right, let's get started. Dave, kick us off.
All right, let's start straight with Brisbane. Just quickly, when was the last time you got a spray from your boss? Have you ever had a spray from a boss?
Yeah, I reckon Ray's given me a couple. Over the years, I would have had a couple. Not too many.
But like, can you yelling?
Not
or?
not yelling.
Not yelling.
No.
I wish Ray got up you more, actually. I think, Ray, that's an RFI. Get up right weekly. Have you copped the spray?
Well, once or twice. Yeah.
Around what?
No, I probably can't say.
Really?
There was a couple of tense moments.
Like a yell?
Here?
Not a yell. Well, there were raised voices sort of on both
Was it
sides.
here?
Oh, you raised back.
Yeah, and then it kind of just but it was all fine in the end.
Yeah, okay.
Who was your boss at the time?
I'm not going to go into this.
Yeah, right.
This is off the back of obviously Chris Fagan at halftime. Stand up if you feel like you're playing at your level. And
Yeah.
who was the one player that stood up?
because there was one guy who stood up.
One
Who was
player
it?
was like, oh, this, I'm up. I don't know.
Morris or something.
But
Take a look at the rest of you.
But continuing on, Eric Hipwood had one disposal at halftime, kicked 5 after halftime. And do you know who Eric Hipwood's going to remind me of at the end of his career?
Who?
Probably someone along the lines of West Coast Jack Darling. So Hipwood's got another 5 years remaining on a contract.
Yep.
He's kicked nearly 300, so he's going to get towards 500.
What's he kicking? Like
Yeah.
35 to somewhere between
Something
35
around
and
that.
40
And
a
of course,
year.
he lost a year to an ACL. Am I
Yeah,
right in
I
saying?
think
So
that's
he's,
right,
he's only 27, Hipwood. It feels like he should be nearly
You're right.
31.
He's going to end up with about 500 goals.
about 500.
A couple of hundred games, 250 maybe.
Games where he just rips it open, and then
Yeah.
games where we don't see him. But I just thought that was a reasonable comparison.
It's a very good
In
comparison.
5 years' time, he's going to be a Jack
and-
Darling. Where you look at the stats and go, hang on,
Well,
he kicked 500.
and spent the bulk of his prime behind like
The second
Joe
banana.
Danaher as a
Yeah.
second banana, which fits him
Correct.
perfectly.
Yeah.
Because as the number one banana, it doesn't really work.
Nah.
But it did on the weekend.
It
I
did on the
suppose.
weekend, well, for a half. But is
For a
that,
half.
again, Brisbane still going through
We're still
ticking
not
boxes,
sure.
but does it still leave a little scratch?
I don't know. I feel like what it's doing now for me. At first, I was like, "Oh, geez, this is a bit shaky." Now I'm like, "Well, they're winning ugly," and I kind of like when
Yeah, I
teams
like
win
what
ugly.
they're doing. They're just
Well,
winning.
They kicked 14 in the second half.
Yeah, and every team that beats the Doggies, though, they get the whole, there's no Bontrelaw.
Yeah. This
Wait,
is what we were saying. Who's got the Dogs? Should we just wheel straight into them?
We can wheel straight into the
Yeah, go on.
Dogs. Okay, so what I want to do, so Bontempelli comes back this week. He emerges on
think.
Easter Sunday.
Yep.
Just
Does
like
he?
Jesus.
Oh,
Yeah.
right, you beauty.
So who takes the mid minutes or who loses mid minutes? So this was their centre bouncers on the weekend. Ed Richards 31,
Well, he stays.
Matt Kennedy 31, Libba 31, and then Weston Sanders. at
Who are
67.
they playing?
Well, it's going to be Western Sanders. They're going to get theirs chopped.
Well, yeah, but
Liver's
someone
gonna
else
stay.
has got to get it because they
Well,
they go
Kennedy.
deeper than that.
Kennedy will go to half.
Is
Yeah,
Kennedy
but who are
left
they
to go?
playing on
Oh,
Sunday?
mate, this is
Well,
quick-
if they're
especially
playing
with that.
someone with a player that needs to be watched, then Kennedy would stay around the scene of the crime. But if it's a free-for-all where they're not going to watch anyone, I'd say Kennedy probably becomes
They're playing St Kilda.
Yes, I'd say Kennedy probably just loses some time.
Probably just loses a bit of time. He can get
Sanders
it done.
finally showed, not finally, that's unfair on a young kid, but he hasn't been getting any centre bounce time. He had 9 disposals, I reckon, in the first quarter.
Mm-hmm.
He looked brilliant. And then just, as the
squeezed
Dogs did
out.
after half time, they just sort of phased out of it.
He's coming good. And he's an interesting one because
But are the Bulldogs at the level where he should be having 31 centre bounces and not Kennedy?
I hate
because
doing
they're
it.
not winning a
Yeah.
grand final.
I hate doing this, but forecasting forward, him and McKercher are going to be the ones everyone's talking about for Tassie because they're two Tassie
Yeah,
kids,
Tassie
and,
boys.
and neither of them have launched yet.
Jeez,
But
I reckon it's a bit unfair on McKercher. Last year he was brilliant.
yeah, but he hasn't
Yeah.
had a good year this year.
This
He's
year-
a quiet
this year's
year.
been quiet,
But
yeah.
what I'm saying is their expectations for them are huge. Like I think we all thought, geez, these guys are going to come in
Yeah.
and go bang. They haven't quite done
Sanders
that.
Yeah.
certainly hasn't.
No.
Sanders, I'm certain.
Yeah,
But you put these guys together, so they've been reliable. Like we know what their level's been all this season, and it feels like
Yeah.
you sprinkle a bit of Bont on top of that, and it goes up a gear.
Well, remember-
like I don't think they're going to be like I'm not going to.
I took overs on the Doggies.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I
It's
think
just-
when in the over-unders pod, we said if they can get through the first 5 rounds and be 2 or 3 wins, which they're 2 wins,
Yeah.
2 out of
And
5,
being competitive.
and
yeah.
could have easily won a couple more, but
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
didn't. But the fact that they were able to get 2 wins without those guys, without Bontrelaw, Waitman now looks like he's going to miss a significant period.
Treloar's out for a significant period with
He
his...
redid the calf, so another month, which was a week ago, so maybe 3 more weeks.
Yeah, it's a long time.
Bounce back
it's a long time to come back. Let's go to Port Adelaide. So Connor Rozee off halfback. Oh, who knew?
Sam Mitchell is a genius. A genius.
Why?
But Finn McGuinness plays half forward these days.
I
thought it was the greatest move, like the easiest move to go, you're not hiding your captain from us.
It's really weird.
Because you clearly are hiding him because he wasn't getting it done in the midfield. I thought just suffocate him again and make it torturous for him. Instead, he'd had a massive first half.
It had a huge impact on that game. That time and space for him was not a good thing.
You've got
for the
McGuinness, who's
opposition.
a tagger, mate, cut his lunch tagging.
Yeah.
Playing at half forward. You don't even have to muck around with your structures.
No,
you just put him on him.
Oh, he's right there. They've actually brought him to us.
It was a gift.
We weren't going to do it.
From God.
Finn McGuinness is like, is he tagging me?
Like Finn doesn't even have to run off the centre up the half forward line to find a midfielder. He just turns around and he's next to him.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Connor. Okay, so we think they're probably going to do that going forward, right?
That was an aberration, right, that weekend?
I don't know. The issue with Port was always you got Butters, you got Rozee, you got Horne-Francis, but they kind of want Willem Drew in there, and Ollie Wines kind of needs to do it. So they had too many midfielders, and there's clearly a top 3 there, but the other 2 are the guys who do the roles. So finding another space for one of the other guys, if it can have an elite impact, is a big tick. So if Rozee can go to halfback and be the best halfback in the game, then that changes everything because it means then your midfield is still going to be good because Zach Butters, holy crap, that guy is unbelievable.
Oh, he's unbelievable.
He's been back 2 weeks and he does that.
He does a big scary face at the end.
Man, he's superb.
Those eyes.
Oh, superb.
I think what did he say? They didn't talk about the other team during the week, and then he comes out and says,
that Zach Butters stuff's gonna launch soon though.
What stuff?
Contract.
Oh, yeah.
Is he out at the end of this year?
Next year.
I know.
There's a bit of murmurings that Melbourne might be calling. Not Melbourne Demons. Not many of us saw that happening on the weekend, but some of us saw it happening on the weekend.
Yeah, you actually bet on Port Adelaide.
And took -29, and the margin was 30.
That's amazing.
So that double goal...
Yeah.
That double goal was unbelievable.
Willie Rioli. That's fantastic. Okay, move on.
We'll jump back to you, Zav.
Back to me, Essendon Football Club. They're going to do a massive number, I think, on West Coast this week. I can see that happening.
The Bombrays.
Bold prediction there by you.
Well, they're away. I think that every week I'm taking teams over 100 against West Coast.
Not 100.
Has it happened yet? Well,
it should have been 100 on the weekend.
It
should have been 100. It was 90-odd round 1.
I don't know about 100 on home.
No, but you're getting 50 to 1 nearly to have a look at it.
Not Essendon.
But Sam Draper has become a disaster. Poor Brian going down with the ACL.
Yeah.
That is bad news.
Yeah.
But if you fast forward to the end of the year, there was talk that Draper was going to go to Adelaide.
Yeah, they're interested.
Free agency market.
He's unrestricted.
Compensation on that contract would equal first rounds.
Yeah.
So Essendon were going to have Carlton's pick, their own pick.
No, Melbourne's pick. I think.
Melbourne's pick, their own pick. And then
potentially the
compensation pick.
Yeah.
So then we have 3 picks,
which then,
arguably top 10.
One of our listeners said, trade that for Harley.
Which I don't think they should do. I think you better suit
West
that.
Coast, sure.
Yeah, of course.
Drive Harley to the airport.
3 top 10 picks. Now, you sat there going, well, he's playing forward to start with. Brian's our number 1 ruckman. He's not a forward. So you better have 3 top 10 picks than...
Yeah, absolutely.
Now he's got no ACL. Draper's your only ruckman. Goldstein's banging around in the 2s, but he just goes, worst case scenario, show me more money and I'm not taking the Adelaide deal. It's a disaster for us.
So you wanted him to leave?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, that would have been the
for
best
a top
case
10
scenario.
pick. Oh, no, you've left the club. We've lost our makeshift full forward whilst Caddy's growing. Like, Caddy next year will be a year older.
Doing the reverse Mackay.
Yeah, correct. Oh, Shivers, don't leave, please. Oh, start the car.
Okay, see ya.
Wearing your bag straight. Like, he's clearly a popular teammate.
Yeah.
But he's not equivalent to pick 7 or whatever they're going to get for him.
7.
So now he's going to have a really good year.
So now Matt Rose is going to sit there and he's going to have to pay the ruckman more money.
They could do the Oscar Allen and just be like, no, that's the deal.
Yeah, but then they've got no ruck.
They'll find
Brian
you
will
can
come
get
back.
a ruck.
Yeah, but
just get Goldie to wheel around for another year.
I did have a look
Just
at
get
Goldie's
the best state league ruckman and just
well, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I did look at Goldie's numbers too last week.
Eastland.
They had the week off on the Woodside and he had something like 50 hit-outs the week
he's
before.
fine.
So maybe Goldie
just put him
around.
Just put him in. Before we get into this, as a proud major sponsor of the Fremantle Football Club, Woodside has accepted the challenge of supporting local footy at all levels, from grassroots to greatness, so it can thrive throughout WA. Woodside, Australia's leading energy company. Freo, yeah, I mean, they did the job, right? They were coming
Second
up
half,
against,
they did the job.
Yeah, quite impressive to see how ruthless they were in the second half because they aren't often like that.
Yeah.
They often play with their foot a bit. So Tracy was just insane. Like Tracy, his hands, the way he attacks the footy. Like I know we keep talking about the Darcy, Thriller, Tracy, and you could argue which one you'd take.
Tracy. Yeah, sorry, yeah.
I think obviously he's still taking Darcy first, but I think Tracy's second. And I don't.
To be honest with you, see that hat there? If you put 3 names in and I pulled one out,
you'd be happy with that.
I'd be thinking, how good's this?
You'd be happy with it.
They are daylight.
But if you pulled Thriller out, would you be a little bit like...
No, I don't think so. I think I'm seeing something Thriller.
You'd be all right with it?
Yeah.
Okay. Shea Bolton, good again.
Yeah,
another step up.
We're also seeing that he's kicking at goals, and I saw him a Freo supporter. No, but he does that because he had 100 shots a couple of years ago at goal, and it was like 45, 45, and 15 out in the fulls. But my mate, Freo supporter Selb's just like, I don't care. I just love the confidence. We don't have players with confidence who do that stuff.
No,
like,
it's correct because most of
they
their
panic
small
and go, oh God, what am I going to do?
Well, they'd panic and go for a short kick, and
then Bolton's just like, if it goes through, it goes through.
Yeah.
I'm just having a ping.
Yeah, 1 in 3 might go through, and I'm having fun with it.
Yeah,
they need that. I like their sort of mosquito fleet vibe of Bolton and Dudley when he came on again.
I'm a Dudley man.
Yeah,
I would have
played
Dudley in front of Switkowski, and I'm on an island on that. I know.
Does Alex Pearce get enough love? I'm not saying
feel like
the best
love,
key back in the comp, but he's a top 8 key back.
The love always builds and then he gets injured. That's what happens. If he plays a full season,
he's been relatively durable the last 3 years. You're thinking about his early career. When he
I'm thinking about last year where he missed the last third of the season.
That was a collision injury.
And there was but that's what I mean. Like he gets these collision injuries and then he goes missing for a couple of months.
Are you worried about? And my man Vossi's been suspended.
Oh, no.
That hurts. You don't reckon I was a bit? My phone went gangbuster when he went off his head again. Which is brilliant. But their full forward is in horrible touch.
Jai Amos.
Horrible touch.
Yeah, he's not going that well.
He had 2 disposals. The week before, he had 1 Joe the Goose over the top goal. The week before that, he had Harley Reid goal and a Joe the Goose.
I want to ask you a question. I'm not defending Jai Amos, but sometimes with forward lines, if the thing is working but someone's not in form, does it matter? Like, as in, like, if Amos is doing what Amos is doing, which is enabling Tracy and the small guys and Voss to do what they're doing, and their forward line's functioning probably better than
I'll turn it back to you. If Jackson was available, who gets dropped?
Well, it would be Voss, but you could make a strong argument that it would be Amos. But Voss would then have to play the role that Amos is playing, and can he
stay
do
in the
that?
goal square?
Yeah, but can he be as disciplined as what Amos is?
I don't think it's a discipline thing. I think he needs to get up the ground.
I can hear what you're saying.
Role in footy.
Is he being told to stay there?
No, but if you're just looking at paper, Amos is not having a good season. But everybody else is. And that to me, sometimes I feel like you can have a guy who's sacrificing in some ways.
Nah.
He's still going to take his chances. You're just like, nah.
He had 2 touches, mate.
Just nah. But
he's out of form.
But he's clearly not the target. The target is Tracy.
You better get up the ground.
But that's not his role, though. But if he goes up the ground, he's meant to stay where he is.
Triangles, mate, is how it works. You know, if you're back, then eventually if the ball gets switched, then you've got to get up. You don't expect poor old Paddy Voss to do the whole oval.
Oh, he can.
That's why Vossi can't kick when he's got the ball. No, I just think that Vossi is obviously going to be...
Is there some element of that? Oh, that the role doesn't lend itself to a high number role?
Who have Freo played the last few weeks? West Coast,
Western Bulldogs,
Richmond, Western Bulldogs, and they've got who this week? An easy kill.
Melbourne.
An easy kill.
Yeah.
I'd love to play full forward in that last forward.
I just liked him. I think he had that strong last quarter against the Bulldogs where he just made every contest he needed to make on the wing. But again, that was getting up the ground.
Up the ground.
He kicked 4 in the derby.
1 over the back. One when Harley Reid just didn't chase him from the goal square and he took a mark at the top of the goal square.
His fault.
No, but I'm just saying, like, it wasn't like he ripped the game to shreds.
Yeah.
I just would love to see him up the ground.
All right, well, I'll roll into Gold Coast, and this is my first straight-up vibe check of the year. So relatively soft.
Hey.
First one. The fixture has been pretty soft, but they've done everything they can. Ben King's leading the Coleman. Rouse probably leading the Brownlow. Undefeated. Got a weird game in hand.
King leading the Coleman?
He's equal with Josh Tracy.
Yeah. Right.
So they beat West Coast. They had the bye. They beat Melbourne, Adelaide, North Melbourne. So what is it like? What? How do you think?
And who have they got this week?
They got Richmond, and then they come into Sydney, Brisbane, Western Bulldogs.
That first 5 weeks, you could not have asked for a better fixture.
You've hardly named a tough draw after it.
No,
well, Brisbane.
Well, Sydney's not.
And the Bulldogs.
I'm about to get to Sydney.
And the Bulldogs will have Bont back by then.
So no, if you gone to the AFL and said, "Hey, what's the fixture for next year?"
Yeah, but I don't know.
Mark Evans, and they said, "Well, Mark, what would you want?"
Yeah.
If I could say to you,
West
pick
Coast,
your first
Melbourne,
5.
Adelaide, North
And you say,
Melbourne.
look, we'll have to have one tough one, but can you give us the game at home?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
who are they meant to
play
play?
at home?
They would have played someone in that round 0. That's now the game at the end of the year.
They would have had
Essendon?
Collingwood or Essendon?
Essendon.
Oh, was it Essendon? Oh, if that's
Yeah, so
okay.
even that one.
I tell you what,
come on.
when Mark Evans and Damien Hardwick saw the draw at the dinner table, this was the noise we heard.
But again, they haven't they've done everything they could have done. The two of them.
Yeah, both of them.
One after the other.
So where do you believe? Is this?
Look,
They're going to make the H, clearly.
Make the 4?
if you're going to make
With
the
this
A,
draw, probably.
you have to do the job.
Yeah.
And they've done the job. So in the
Yes.
past, they might have dropped 1 or 2 of those, and then suddenly you're looking at it, it's too hard later because it's going to get
Yeah,
harder.
the ledger's
Yeah,
still
yeah.
4 and 2, and you go, they're
Yeah.
still going okay, but they've lost 2 they shouldn't have lost.
Correct.
Yeah.
Where at the moment,
But-
they haven't done that.
But they've also
So
also
they'll be
come out
5
of
and 0.
pretty
They're
much
gonna beat
every one of those games, and you've gone like, wow, that was
And
that was
that's
impressive.
the Richmond games at the G.
Yeah.
Geez,
So,
oh,
so they're stockpiling games away from Gold Coast too, because they've only played 1 at home, haven't they?
The Adelaide one, probably, yeah.
I wish the AFL put Dimmer at Marvel.
Yeah.
You get the Tigers.
Just
Just
for
for
Marvel
old
Stadium.
time's sake. Yeah.
Let's go to the Sydney Swans. Now, grave concerns. 2 wins. They've got Port Adelaide, who have just bounced into form. Then they've got the Suns. Then they've got the Giants. So the next 3 are going to be really, really tough. Just want to we talk about their forwards a lot. Amadi, we don't think it's much of a party.
Probably going to miss a month now.
Logan,
running around.
we
should be
think,
back this week.
but we don't think he's.
Well, he's Josh Tracy. No, he's not Josh Tracy.
No, he's a member of
Yeah,
the
yeah.
overhyped key position forward that I'm on it.
At the moment.
But one bloke that we dodge and we don't really talk about much is Will Hayward. Signed a big deal last year.
You're going to bag Will Hayward.
Signed a big deal. No, not bagging.
I like Will
Signed a big. Okay,
Yeah, he
so
chips in.
2023. How many times did he kick 1 goal or 0 in games?
23. Is it 2
No,
years ago?
yeah, so I'm just going through it.
How many games did he play?
Oh, the lot
About
it
the
looked
right.
like. Yeah.
Well, obviously,
1 or
you're
0.
excited, so 12.
17.
Well,
Oh, really?
2024, his good year. How many times he kicked 1 or 0?
12.
I'd say 15.
12.
Oh.
And then this year he's kicked.
You don't know what I'm talking
Then
about.
this year he's kicked 1 or 0, 4 out of 5 games. Highest amount of goals he's kicked 41, and then 35, then a big drop off 34. There's just no.
You
it's
say
like
35 and then a big drop off to 34?
No, 35 correction to 34,
Okay.
and then the drop off.
Gotcha.
Their forward line is like Melbourne's.
It
Yeah,
is.
there's not a lot
It's
there.
very Melbourne-esque.
Like the ball
Yeah.
when it goes in there, you're
Yeah.
shocked, especially without
Cupboard is bare.
what do they call him? The bin
Happily.
raccoon, or what do they call it?
Trash Panda.
Trash panda, without the trash panda,
The
big
bin
raccoon. Without the trash
Similar.
panda, I knew it was something
That's
like
his
that.
cousin.
Without that, without him, and of course, Goulden in the midfield that allows Warner to get a bit frisky at times.
Well, and Heaney too. Like without Mills.
Last year, remember how many goals those midfielders were kicking?
I would be fascinated to see if Mills and Goulden were playing, would Heaney
Go forward
and or
more.
Warner be spending
I
much
think
more time
so.
forward?
I think
so.
so.
They'd have to.
I think
I think
so.
Heaney now has to
Are
do
we-
it out
they
of
tried
necessity.
everything. McCartan went there.
Are we permanent markering Sydney?
As it out in the finals.
No, top 4. Top 4.
Oh,
I would.
given their
I'm
injuries,
putting a
I'm
line
scared.
through top 4.
I think they need Goulden bad.
I think the damage.
He's still a long way
It's
off.
not till
isn't he?
round 15 he's coming back. It's 10 more
it's game
rounds.
over.
Jesus.
I wouldn't want to play him in the finals though.
No,
If they finish 7th, you wouldn't want to be the team who's got
Yeah.
a
They
home
could come. They
final.
could get hot
finish.
late.
Mate, if you're Freo and you finish 6th, and we got a home final round, who are we playing? Shit, Sydney, and they've got everyone back.
But just that Hayward, Party,
Yeah,
McDonald.
They'll steal someone's forward.
yeah. Well,
Oscar Allen?
Jamara, Oscar. I'm amazed that they haven't gone into the Oscar sweepstakes because
They
that would
probably
be
are.
Remember
hard
when
work
they
for them.
plucked Tippett and had
Yeah, they
Franklin?
probably are.
That was amazing.
They weren't in the Franklin sweepstakes either, and
All
then they
right,
signed him.
This is me. Let's go, Melbourne. Let's do it. So, amongst all the mess and the disgustingness of what this season has been so far,
I say it again. Every week I want to say it. Bottom 4 side. Yep, keep going.
bottom 4 side, they don't own their own pick, which you touched on before with this. So this is disaster scenario for any
Matt
team.
Rosa copped a lot of criticism for getting rid of that pick last year.
Genius, Matty Rosa.
To get Kako.
Genius.
Kako.
Kako.
Genius.
He saw this coming better than anybody because
No, I think quite a few people saw Melbourne falling off the cliff other than Melbourne people.
Probably not this hard.
we should say
Yes,
they
it's
did
hard.
they got Xavier Lindsay out of it, and I do like Xavier Lindsay.
Yes.
But you don't want to have a season where you're going to be a bottom four side and you don't own your pick.
No. They've been brilliant in the way they got Langford and Lindsay.
Yeah.
But in exchange, they still needed a pick this year.
Yeah, and
they still need their pick this year. And then at the end of it, you go, well, they are rebuilding. There's Lindsay, Langford, and a top 5 pick this year.
Yeah.
But that's the big scratch.
I suppose you could, if you're them,
They're gonna try and get
they
some
would
back.
mount an argument that would say, we think Lindsay at pick 9 is better than pick 3 this year because it was such a good draft.
Yeah.
They might say that.
Yeah, of course.
And that's their argument, and that's fine. But
but
I think if you're sitting
regardless,
there now
they
as an Essendon fan, you're just going, how good is
Well,
this?
Richmond, we're getting to be excited because they had so many picks in the top 20.
Yeah.
They'll go again this year.
Yeah.
If Melbourne had done what they did last year and then somehow, and the door's still well and truly ajar to see what happens to
Yeah.
Petrarca, that might be...
Well, that might be the...
That's the
and
right.
Oliver,
They
but the
could
value-
get back into the 10.
Yeah, but the value of these players is getting significantly less and less
Yes.
as the years roll
Yeah,
on.
yeah.
Like Petrarca last year, I know he was...
You're not getting 3 firsts for Petrarca.
No,
You might get
no.
1 first and a second or something.
Or one early, one late first.
Yeah,
Something
maybe.
like that.
Even then, I don't know. Because who's
Yeah.
paying that?
Well,
That's the
Hawthorn
thing.
would.
But they don't have that collateral.
Yeah, they'd find it.
Or they've Carlton's pick.
Yeah. Joe, they'll find a way. But those teams in the window would love to have Petrarca. Zero doubt about that. But that's about it with value.
If you're Melbourne,
Clary, you could get.
If you're Melbourne
can
and
you get a first for Clary?
maybe.
Oh,
If you're
Good
Melbourne
question.
I don't think so.
and Hawthorn comes up and says, just give us Carlton's pick for Petrarca. We'll give you Carlton's pick for Petrarca. Are you taking that?
Who am I?
You're Melbourne.
No.
It's not enough?
No.
Because it's probably going to end up like pick 6 or
He's going to
7.
be the difference in winning a final too, Petrarca. He went in a happy state.
Right.
Yeah.
So Melbourne's saying, no, we want more.
Whereas Hawthorn's
we're gonna
saying,
need more.
please.
Yeah, take it.
Please.
Okay.
Please. I'll go to Geelong. So Patrick Dangerfield is he's not fair. Like, I don't know how you can be 35 years old, and just change your role and still be an elite
I
player.
heard Jonathan Brown say last night he could win the Brownlow as a forward.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bit maybe.
No, but he could win the Coleman.
He could. He's kicked 11 goals.
He could easily
so
win
far
the
this year.
Coleman. If
Yeah,
he
he's
just
up there.
stayed solely as a forward.
Yeah.
He's got so much power, the size of
And
him.
he's like, old and angry and still talented and like just big as well. Just throw himself around down there.
He doesn't make any sense. The size of his body
He's so
and the
good.
way he
Yeah.
picks
So
the ball
powerful.
up. I keep waiting for him to tear a hamstring off the bone,
Yeah.
and he never does.
And
Touch wood.
I think you want him to stay within 30 metres of goal too.
Yeah, he's
because
not
if
winning
it hits
too
the
many
ground,
foot races
he's-
over the back.
Well, but he's lightning still, but kicking's never been his number
No.
one thing that he's relied on. But getting it close and snapping
Crafty.
and breaking a tackle.
Crafty.
He's still. I would say his burst off the mark is still quick,
It's
but
slightly-
after that it starts to
But
pare
yeah,
back.
I hate it. I absolutely one of my pet hates you might have remembered when
Yes.
Carlton tried Cripps as a forward
Dangerfield.
and they tried Dangerfield as a forward.
Yep.
And in that prelim after halftime against Richmond, when Geelong were on top, Dangerfield started forward, and that's when the momentum shifted when he was best on ground. Now as a sole forward,
He's
like
good.
you are
At
a
this
forward.
stage of his career.
You're a forward
Yes.
at this stage. Love it. Like
So-
he could easily be the difference. He wasn't a superstar probably as a
mid.
midfielder anymore.
No.
As a forward, with the lack of superstar competitive bigs, and I
Yeah.
call him a were he clearly is a star forward
Were you wrong about Geelong?
at the moment. What are they? 3 and 3, 3 and 2,
Yeah, that sounds right.
3 and 2.
Yeah, 3 and 2.
Oh,
yeah.
they're
Sitting
60%.
6.
No, I'm just saying, after Thursday night, do you feel like you're a little bit nervous?
Well,
still don't know,
I
eh?
locked unders on Adelaide, so I'd expect them to go over the top there. That was an expectation.
That's true. You can
What was
argue it.
Adelaide's line? 12?
11 and a half, 12, yeah, I think. Let's go to Adelaide. Rinny, are you still high on the Crows?
Yeah, they'll get there.
All right, big
They'll be
month,
Bit of
big month
couple of
coming
teething
up.
problems.
3 and 2, and I still reckon that the midfield now they're still trying to jam positions in. They
Yeah,
can't
this is
quite,
where the teething problems are
they,
happening.
they
right?
can't
Yeah.
quite work out where Crouch sits with Peatling in there with Dawson. Of course, Rankin's the star
Yep.
alongside
Yeah.
Dawson.
It's Dawson and Rankin and then figure out the rest.
Yeah, which then you can't really figure out the rest because you lose
Well,
Peatling. Saligo's
Dropped off a little
yeah, but
bit.
he's had a great start to
Started
the year,
fantastically.
so you can't. So they're 3 and 2 now. This
And
is
they need
their,
a small back in the forward line.
yeah, but also Roy Laird. Like I'm not convinced that he's anyway.
Still going.
So the next 4 weeks, big 4 weeks. Giants.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's in Adelaide.
Who would you take?
Giants.
In Adelaide?
Freo.
I'll go Crows.
That's here.
Here.
I'd take Freo here.
Yeah, I'll probably take Freo here.
Then they've got Carlton.
In Melbourne?
I'll take Adelaide.
Yeah, in Melbourne.
Taking Adelaide.
Sorry, Adelaide Oval.
I'll take Adelaide at Adelaide Oval.
And then they've got this showdown as the away team, so a full never tear us apart audience.
That one you can actually never pick the show.
So if I was to tip, I'm tipping they're going to lose 3 of those 4. And then to top it off, Collingwood.
In Melbourne.
Yeah.
Has to be. How many games in Adelaide they got?
2.
Jesus. I think I said 3 weeks ago after they'd beaten a bunch of the teams that are not going to be any good that we haven't seen anything yet.
No,
and
that's a big 5 week.
People were anointing them as premiership contenders after beating Essendon and St Kilda. You were one of them. You were one of the pack.
I anointed them premiership contenders before the season started.
That was clickbait like I've never, ever seen before. And I think I said they've got Gold Coast, Geelong, GWS. And I think I said they have to win 2 of those if they're real.
Yeah.
They haven't won any of them yet.
Yeah.
And they've got to beat the Giants. And the Giants are going beautifully.
Yeah, Freo at Optus, and then you got Port in the showdown, you got Collingwood after.
Do they miss Shelley a lot, do you reckon, now? He was going pretty well.
He found the little greedy.
Yeah.
He was enjoying giving them off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, this is me. Carlton. So does that fix everything?
No.
No, doesn't fix anything, does it?
Didn't say Voss also gave that energy after the game, didn't he? Like, all right.
How they didn't win by 100.
Yeah.
It was a 75-30 inside 50s.
Remarkable.
Yeah.
North, Good Friday, so they get another easy kill.
Well,
I'm not marking that down.
No, me either.
You're not?
And what did I say last week? Fool me once, shame on
you.
Fool me twice, shame on me.
Yes.
So I'm off North.
Yeah.
But I'm slowly jumping back into bed with them against Carlton because I am off Carlton.
You think this could be one of those ones? Because I think I said last week, I was early on this, that if they lost to West Coast, the heat's going to come for Vossi.
Yes,
right?
Correct.
If they lose to North, the heat's straight back on.
Yeah,
Is that the only Good Friday? Oh, no, there's
the West Coast.
West Coast Essendon, live and free on 7.
What a day of football.
Local commentary team if you want to.
Oh, is it the local team on a Friday night?
It's a local team on a Friday night.
Wow,
Sam Walsh, when things are going well and Carlton's flying, he looks like the best player in the AFL.
20 and kicked 3 at half time.
He was
or 19 and 3.
unbelievable. And every drop of the footy, he was there. Yeah. He's running like he's on top of the water. But then
I don't think the West Coast midfielders are the benchmark of being able to keep up with Sam Walsh.
He must have been having so much fun out there.
Imagine that.
Why is no
hot.
one around me? Why, is it half time?
But remember they switched it at times and there were players for both sides early in 50 metres of space. Yeah. I was like, wow, what's happening? Like how? Bizarre. And then they'd go forward and both teams would slaughter it early. That's really weird. It was a bizarre game. Yes, Sam Walsh looks good. Yes, the Carlton looked good. Harry Mackay being out, I'm not sure that's going to matter too much.
Well,
hopefully he's
but
okay.
they lose Brody Kemp as well.
That's unfortunate. The Achilles stuff I'd hate seeing.
You do your Achilles?
I did 60% of it.
How's that work?
Just ruptured, like snapped
and then what?
60% of it.
Did you have surgery on that?
Nah, I didn't. Nah.
That repaired itself?
Nah, it just repaired itself.
What was the one where you burnt your testes?
I thought that was not my Achilles. The surgeon wasn't around my ball bag doing
Might
my
have just
foot.
dribbled down the leg.
If he was, there's some questions. How'd you get up there?
What's happened?
What are my pants off?
No, that was hips.
Keyhole. We had to go in through the groin.
Yeah. Having said that, Britt Taylor, of course, Perth Britt Taylor.
Yeah.
She did both her bones in her leg, and they went through her quad to fix the compound fracture down low. Yeah. Anyway.
How's she going?
I think 6 to 12 months. She's pretty tough, to be fair.
Jeez.
So tough.
Yikes.
Hey, let's go to Collingwood. I think Collingwood, I've said it, they're my team. I'm on to Collingwood. I think they're the premiership favourites.
Yeah, you're really into them.
I'm really into them.
You love Ned Long?
Well.
Or do you have a little taste?
Oh, God, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Ned Long.
Ned Long, good Melbourne grammar boy. So I got sucked in on that.
Okay.
But Ned Long, and bought him in for fantasy too, by the way. So that was a double header.
Wow.
Double header.
What was he priced?
500.
You were such a lunatic.
Yeah, so Ned Schlong came on in and went bananas. But you could see, to be honest with you, see why he didn't last.
At Hawthorn?
Big, not a great runner and an average-looking kick. But at Collingwood, what do they call him? Nick Dacos, a security guard.
Yeah.
Like perfect
the bodyguard,
fit. The bodyguard. There was one bit of play, though, where he flicked it to Dacos. Great, you've done your job. Like Trent Crode, when he's take a mark, handball out the back and go. Job done. Then Ned Long cut Dacos off to get the ball back. And the commentary team were like, no, I don't think we need that out of Ned Long. But he's going to make a difference. He was sub twice and then out or whatever it was. I have a funny feeling he wasn't meant to be sub the second time. It just, unfortunately, you were just sub, like, around you go again. So I think he was meant to play more football. He's now locked in. To go, he can come back. To go, he can play more forward because obviously his body's not at the level at the moment. So to go, he just becomes a permanent half forward. Ned Long, and I think Nick Dacos, we all agree, is the best player in the competition. What he did to James Jordan being tagged.
Oh, yeah, he was very good in that game. But
Nick Dacos is the best player in the comp.
He's the most talented player.
But do we also just forget when he's had 2 or 3 quiet weeks and then he has a good one? We go, he's the best player in the comp.
Yeah, because when he has a good one, he has an unbelievable.
He hasn't had a better season than Caleb Sarong. He hasn't, not even close.
Caleb Sarong had a slow start of the season too.
Did he?
Yeah, James Jordan got Sarong.
His last 3 weeks have been better than anyone in the comp.
Well, okay. Nick Dacos will finish higher in the Brownlow.
Probably. Yeah, probably. I'm just saying, you just
Nick Dacos' level. Nick Dacos' level.
No, he's the best guy.
Nah, Nick Dacos' level as what you see on the ground, and Caleb Sarong, as you know, is arguably one of my favourite players. Is more better. Like it's just better football, running, carrying, kicking it. Like Caleb's a beautiful inside midfielder, and an
neither of them can do what the other one does.
Nick Dacos was like number 1 in the competition last year for contested disposal and clearance. Fair to say he's doing it.
I would take Caleb in a contest over Nick Dacos. But I would say Nick Dacos is probably a better player overall.
Oh, what?
We just argued for 40 seconds to finish that.
You just like make this giant statement like, who's the best
player?
How
many tackles did Nick Dacos have on the weekend for an outside player?
We're not talking about that game. It was clearly an outstanding game.
You're a dick.
Clearly an outstanding game. You want to bring up his stats from the weeks before?
Season.
He got tagged out of 3 games in a row.
He's had Bedford, and he's had Hewitt, and he's had Jordan.
Sarong had Jordan. Sarong had Jordan. He got tagged out of it.
Well, James Jordan had 8 clearances at half time on Caleb. Half time.
GWS. Okay. So you get the Crows in Adelaide. Then they got the Bulldogs in Canberra.
Sorry, so go again.
Crows in Adelaide.
Yep.
Bulldogs in Canberra. Sydney at the SCG. Geelong in Geelong. Have you noticed a trend?
Tough.
They're not playing any games at home. Canberra's a home game.
Did you see
the Easter show?
Did you see the vision of the horse in the back of the convertible?
Yeah. What is that all about?
Did you think it was a toy horse? When I saw it, I was like, that's a plastic horse.
I thought it was like in Texas. I just can't.
It's a showground. I couldn't work it out.
How does a horse even sit like that?
No idea.
Is it like a retiring rodeo horse? And they just give it like the Toyota retiring lap?
But was it a Mercedes convertible or something?
Their next home game at NG is round 10.
What's their record in Canberra?
Easter show.
I think it's pretty good, isn't it?
Oh, I reckon it's closer to 50-50.
Yeah, the Easter show. So they got a bit of a tough run coming up. By the time they get home in round 10, if they're still sitting in the top 2, they're going to be very hard to catch because they, as I said, they're on the road for quite a long time. There's some of those games. Crows in Adelaide's always tough. Sydney at the SCG either way. Geelong and Geelong is always really, really hard. And their next home game is the 17th of May, and it's against Freo. So it's another hard game.
Giants have won their last 4.
Yeah, so they're pretty good in Canberra. I'm just saying, we're going to know a lot about them in the next month. I think we already know that they're one of the best 2 or 3 teams.
We're convinced that, aren't
we? Yeah, but this is going to, if they can come through this with flying colours, they're
what are they missing? I know we spoke about it last week.
I don't think they're missing anything.
Full.
No. Even on the weekend when Whitfield was tagged out of it, Lockie Ash just went, I'll do it. Okay.
It's funny.
And the forward line didn't really fire, but then Toby went,
Callahan gets looked at, then Tom Green goes silly.
Callum Ward stepped up, was like, I'll get amongst it.
Chip in with a few.
They've got just guys who step up.
Are we going to sit here at the end of the year and go, it's another missed opportunity by
GWS?
Giants?
Every year. What we did say last week was on field there's nothing lacking. It's just upstairs in the mind, and can they execute in finals?
Because how they haven't won a grand finals beyond.
Well, they should have been in it last year. They threw it away.
Exactly.
46 points or something, was it?
Then they would have to go
that was absurd.
Beat Geelong.
No, that was prelim.
The prelim they lost.
Was it prelim? I'm pretty sure.
At home.
Or was it straight sets they went in?
I thought they went straight sets with massive losses.
Yeah, I feel like it went straight
One
sets.
of us should know the answer to
this.
Oh,
yeah, I got it here.
Okay.
St Kilda. So Naz and Zaya, Wangan and Millera, he's got to already be a top 25 player, and he's trending towards top 10.
25 I'll give you. 10 I'd have to sit
Trending
down and make
towards top 10.
Yeah. Trending towards
top 10. Give us 2 years.
Straight sets. Goal against Sydney, 5 points against
And they
Brisbane.
were up against Sydney by a fair bit
smashing
too.
Brisbane.
So he thinks Nazai, Wanganeen, Millera is
he's already a top 25
top 10 player.
He's trending towards the top 10. Give it 2 years.
Let's give him 10.
So Ross...
Nick Dacos, you've got it 1.
Wanganeen Miller comes in at 7.
Hard to be a top 10 player in the comp at halfback.
Well, no,
his
this
skills
is
are
why.
no different to Lockie Whitfield's.
Ross on the weekend said he's going to be a midfielder.
Yeah, once we see
He
it.
said we're building him into it and he's going to be a midfielder. I think with that
when
weapon
when
of
do
a
you
boot,
pull the trigger on away you go?
he said when he gets a bit more strength. Ross likes him tough.
Yeah.
I just think with that weapon he's got there, what do you have? 24 and 3 goals on the weekend.
He's beautiful.
He's a wonderful player.
And how much
contract.
attention has he had? I'm trying to remember. Like, has he had a Lockie?
He's had a few
Whitfield
tags.
lockdown?
He has had a few tags along the way. Blessing slightly is that Sinclair's in there. But if I'm playing St Kilda, there's no way in the world I'm tagging McRae, Jack Steele.
No.
Any of those guys. If I was ever going to lock down on anyone, it'd be the two halfbacks.
I'll tell you what, I watched that game really closely, and the Jack Steele thing, I'm with you now.
Yeah.
It's
gone.
Can't bend down.
No, it's gone.
It's really weird. Obviously, he's had a lot of issues with the knees and stuff.
But it's just the speed.
Yeah.
Those big players. I think of Matt Prittis, for example,
When it goes,
a Brownlow
it goes,
medalist star.
Yeah.
There's no second club in the bag. Like, you're the inside brute that's been so bloody good.
Yeah.
But then remember they tried Prittis at half forward.
Yeah.
Just didn't quite work. Even like Sam Mitchell when he went to half back. Like, Mitch could run around and have 30 disposals at half back, no worries. But it's just not what they've done.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm going to go over to. I've got one to go, and it's the Richmond Football Club.
I think I've been skipped at some point. Anyway, I got 2 left.
Yeah, because you
cooked.
changed the order.
You
I
go.
corrected
You
the order.
You go. You fly.
Well, I'll do a North Melbourne.
Okay.
So how heavily do we underrate Nick Larkey over the journey? He's
I
still.
don't think we do. I think
He's only All-Australian once.
I think we rate him.
So where I.
Well, do we overrate him if he's only been All-Australian once?
It was a horrible team.
Well, but this is the thing.
That's what I said.
So
That's what I said last week.
Jake Waterman got over the line as an All-Australian last year for doing what he did in the team that he was playing in. Yeah. Like, if you use that criteria for Nick Larkey, he should have been All-Australian the last 5 years.
Yeah, but you can't do it every year.
But did I say 2 weeks ago that Nick Larkey in 10 years, they should just fix up his stats and just say kick 700?
Well,
just make him up.
Well, this is what's he got, 16 from 5 this season. The past seasons were like 42, 38, 71, 46. What's the most they ever won in that stretch was 4 games.
What's
in a year.
more remarkable to me is that you've got a guy who's so dependable and that is so hard to find, and they can't win more games.
Yeah.
I still can't work out how North Melbourne aren't slightly ahead of where
he's not a forward. Like a difference. They need like a Josh Tracy forward who's up the ground.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't leave home very often.
How are you feeling now about North Melbourne, Clarko, the whole thing?
So they've got Carlton this week.
Yep.
And again, I will tip and back North Melbourne, and then it'll be like waking up on Sunday morning, rolling over in bed and seeing an ex-girlfriend going, "Oh, we've done it again." Oh, shit.
How did this happen?
How's this happened to me again? So that's what I like. No, I'm not convinced by anything.
What was her name?
Well, that's an assumption.
Back in the day. What was his name? Oh, he said girlfriend.
Gavin. Oh, I did say girlfriend, didn't I? Yeah, look, I'm disappointed with them. Yeah. I thought they'd be a 9-win side this year.
Yeah, I didn't see it
and just be hanging around and being a bit naughty in games.
Do you think they need to shift now away from the Clarko thing?
Nah. You'll never get me on that.
Yeah, I
don't know what's a better. Like, he's the best. He's an unbelievable Hall of Fame coach.
But
they're 3 years into it, and hard to consider last year. He had a lot of time off last year.
Yeah. I don't know. Nick.
Go back around to Zave then.
We're on Zave now?
Okay. Richmond.
The bullet's still available.
Oh, please don't leave it. Hey, shit.
Let's get into Hawthorn. Are you concerned?
Oh, God, yeah.
Because for me, it's like you watch when the small forward thing works, it's irresistible. Yeah. When it doesn't work,
away from home in a furnace.
Yeah, when they're just not getting that momentum and that touch, and it's just not their night.
Without sounding like a genius, because I did take Port minus 30 or whatever it was. 2 years ago, I know you probably don't remember it. Young under man side went to Adelaide Oval and they were 14 goals to 3 in the first half. Port Adelaide absolutely smashed him in the first half 2 years ago. Slaughtered, and that was when the concerns around Sam Mitchell and stuff were popping up.
What's happening here?
Well, it was the same again. And yes, I am. They need to, and I've been pushing this wheelbarrow. They need to go get a superstar midfielder.
Yep.
Petrarca or the person we spoke about from the weekend's game, Zach Butters.
Yeah,
he could be the $2 million man.
Can't go to Hawthorn now. He hates him.
I reckon you'd like him, to be honest.
He hates them.
To be honest, I reckon.
What did he say, Nick? What
unsociable. He said,
we can beat
he
this
said,
out.
this
Wow.
When did he say that?
when he did his crazy eyes.
Oh, that's okay.
Under the breath.
Yeah, but you say
Under
that
the
after every win.
Do you?
Oh, these That's just what you say. That's just
You
what
say
you
that
say.
after every podcast.
Yeah, mate, I go down to social basketball and I say it. No, but the emotion and stuff's there. You remove the emotion. I'm not saying Zach Butters to Hawthorn, but they need to find a superstar midfielder. I've said it for years.
Yeah.
Will Day's great, but Will Day is a second banana or an equal 1A, 1B sort of right next to each other.
He's a very good second banana.
But
he's not.
He needs a
side
sidekick.
I reckon he could be.
Needs a
but
partner
he needs,
in crime.
he needs a partner in crime. He needs a partner in crime.
And
they need a key forward
Well, I was gonna say,
desperately.
Yeah.
relying on Gunston to be your guy at the age that he's
Wouldn't be
at
surprised if maybe Chol position was under a bit of threat.
would have to be. But who's
Yeah.
coming to take it?
Maybe they just go small ball.
What
Small.
Chuck
Nick
another
Watson,
one in
full
there.
forward. Nick
Just
Watson
go
in the square.
small.
Watson out of the square.
Clarko one time,
Could throw Battle
in the
forward.
in the captain's. Yeah, you haven't spent that much money, and I don't like seeing Sicily forward. I know he got going late. Clarko one game before, so just 1 second, don't extend. Before a game in a captain's run, we went out and practiced kicking floaters because Clarko, we were small in the forward line, and he wanted floaters to go inside 50 so we could crumb them.
Serious.
Yeah, floaters. We practiced floaters.
Get out.
Yeah.
We'll keep it on the ground.
And then guess what? You send a floater in, and Clark goes, "What's that shit?"
Well, West Coast, I was kind of banking on the bullet here. So, but that
Mate,
was
if you
the
want to bullet someone, you got to go earlier
fewest
than that.
contested possession
But I don't
since
think
the stats
bullet
been
West
recorded.
Coast. That's just a horrible display. 77 contested disposals. The second least for the round was 111.
Yeah, it's the fewest since they started recording the
Which was around,
stat.
99-ish?
Oh, probably.
Around
Couldn't
there?
tell you. I didn't go that far in my
But
research.
just say historical.
Historically.
Yeah.
I like to say ever. So, well, they didn't.
It's not ever,
They
yeah.
didn't. They started counting it at a certain point.
I'm sure they had more contested disposals than 1922 university teams.
I was gonna
Yeah,
say.
yeah. Good side.
The ball never.
That was
But,
a good
but they
side.
probably had 300 contested disposals. The ball didn't leave the
was
didn't
no
leave the mark.
space.
There was no uncontested disposals.
I mean, the problem for West Coast, but this is the pain again. They're just pushing people out, getting games into kids, trying to get more kids through. It's just making it like they're just sliding into irrelevance again.
I think what's happening here is McQualter's come in. Pike, to a degree, is still relatively fresh as a CEO. Matt Clark's come in, and they've gone.
When did Matt Clark start?
He started halfway through last year.
Yeah. So that was his first draft.
I reckon they're looking at
which
it
we
going,
liked.
this is worse than
didn't like
we
last year's
thought.
draft.
No, I didn't like the top end, but I liked the weighted number of kids they got through.
Yeah, I think they know now that
They
it's
got like
worse
7
than they
kids.
thought it was.
Yeah.
I think they're like, this is bad. So they've stripped it back.
How after 5 years do you go?
Yeah, but they're different people.
Well,
So
they guys
I'm
changed the
saying
list, mate.
McQualter's
Yeah.
come in and Clark's come in. They've gone, this is really bad. This is really awful. Like let's go right back to bare bones here. Tim Kelly going back to the waffle. We can do stuff like that. Stuff it. We know we're not going to be any better with him out of the team, but we're going to be bad anyway. Let's play Tom Gross in that role. He looked pretty good. I would be stunned if they don't play Grego this week. They're keeping Archer Reed in the team, which is great. Getting reps under him. It's bad, but I think for the first time ever, they know how bad. And I reckon in the past, the West Coast teams have been like, oh, it's bad, but we've got this, that might bounce. And no, I don't think they're expecting any bounce now.
I don't think there's anything exciting.
No, there isn't anything.
Zero.
But you got to go to zero. And now I reckon they're here.
Yeah, I liked the draft last year.
Well, I'll be convinced whether it's zero at the end of the year when they decide to move players on to get more kids in that can help.
Who are they going to move on apart from Oscar? Is there anybody else?
Tim Kelly.
Mate,
No, not Tim Kelly.
You're
Well,
not getting anything
there's
back.
an elephant in the room.
Harley.
Well, he's the one that's obviously a lot of talk.
Yeah, if you get a Godfather offer, then you got to do it.
Yeah, you got to get it right.
And unfortunately, Harley might be
Conversation.
a better footballer than all of them.
Yeah.
And you'd expect him to be.
Yeah.
But it might not be better than 3 of them put together.
Yeah, you got to
In a
make sure
grand final.
you got to make sure you nail those picks.
All right.
That's it.
I think that's us done. Anyone got
Nope.
no teams left?
Wrap it up.
All right, this has been the Hardball Gets AFL show. We'll see you tomorrow for the mailbag. Got the touch? Download the Tap Touch app today. What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.